Hello and thank you for tuning in to the Bully Pew podcast, brought to you as always by Protestia. Go to protestia.com for all of your latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. Also see insurgencynews.com for political and world news from a conservative Christian perspective. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't have a lot of time on this Bully Pew podcast, so we are going to get right into it at the risk of starting a habit where I'm recording a Bully Pew podcast every day. I know that we had posted one just yesterday, but I found this topic too interesting or too important to ignore. I don't have a ton of time. We're probably only going to be recording here for 15 minutes, maybe less. I don't know, but I wanted to weigh on it just to make sure that I was as clear as possible about my concerns. A pastor that we respect and that we really get a lot from and value his online friendship as much as you can value online friendships, and of course respect the history of his ministry work, especially online. Posted something yesterday that I had some concerns about, and I pushed back a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that I was as understood as I could possibly be about what my concerns were. We're talking about Pastor Gabe Hughes of When We Understand the Text fame. Some of you, probably most of you have seen his content, WWUTT content on the internet, on YouTube. The very, like, every time that I'm asking somebody, like, do you know who this is, and they're not entirely sure, I just go, what? And then they know. Right, because that's what kind of the sound effect that Gabe puts at the front of the videos. Highly informative. I would agree with him doctrinally, probably close to 100%. Like, I haven't actually done the doctrinal math, but and really that's not that important for the sake of this conversation, because it's not really about, hey, we're gonna cast shade at people we disagree with on theological things, or we're gonna support no matter what people that we agree with on theological things. That's not really the standard. But it's more, I guess I want to plant my flag here on the idea that we can openly disagree or openly challenge or openly debate or argue with people who are our friends. People whose ministries we would recommend, whose ministries we benefit from, without it becoming, something where, tomorrow he would hesitate to share something that we produced or something that we were working on, or that tomorrow a disagreement over something would cause us to not, share or recommend something that he did. I don't want to be an influencer of any sort, have any influence whatsoever, if that is got to be part of the equation. I put in my social media bios that I fight my friends, which is a cheeky response to John MacArthur, a few years ago, when he talked to, he basically said, hey, I'll fight false doctrine and these kind of things, but I won't fight my friends. And I think that was mistaken. Still think it's mistaken. I think it's actually a better and a longer lasting and a more edifying approach to say, I'll fight false doctrine, I'll fight error in things, and I'll fight my friends, but not fight them to destroy them. Fight them to make a case for something that hopefully is mutually beneficial. I want to fight my friends the way that iron sharpens iron. And in 2026, that sharpening happens on the internet, and which is a double-edged sword. There are a lot of really good things from it, especially the fact that other brothers and sisters in Christ can be witness to this and hopefully, God willing, benefit from it. But of course, the other edge of that sword is that whatever's being done online is permanent, and that psychologically affects how we approach things. We're measuring everything that we say, every post we put up, every comment, every interaction, with the idea of, okay, what is this going to, what are the consequences of this going to be down the line? And I'm refusing to participate in that way. Like it or not, it might end up, I hope not, but it might end up with us having no online friends, Nobody that supports our stuff. Nobody that, okay, I mean, that's up to them. That's not going to stop us from being who we are. That's not going to stop me from saying, sharing something, complimenting, saying so-and-so's right about this, even if I disagree with other things they say. Or so-and-so's wrong about this, even though I agree with almost everything they say and they're a friend. We could take things behind closed doors. We could go into private messages and have things out and then go out into the public with some sort of a quote unquote unified front, but I'm not sure how that benefits other people involved in the conversation. I'm unwilling to concede the idea that there's some sort of a difference, a fundamental or a categorical difference between people that have published platforms and websites and followings and advertising and all the kind of stuff that we do over here at Protestia. I'm unwilling to concede that there's a categorical difference between that and the brother who's just commenting on Facebook or commenting on X, or he's participating in the conversation. He's going to have something valuable to say. I'm unwilling to say categorically I'm going to treat him one way and then treat somebody who has a pastorate or an online parachurch ministry that's influential some different way. It seems like partialism to me, and without being convinced otherwise, I'm more and more stubborn about being unwilling to ever do that. And so in that spirit, Gabe had posted something along the lines of, and I don't have it in front of me, but along the lines of, if your response to persecution, your church's response to persecution is to, arm yourselves and this kind of thing, rather than prepare your church for Christian persecution, then and I think the end of the post was something like, you might be thinking first as an American and second as a Christian or something like this. And of course it caused a ruckus, because why wouldn't it cause a ruckus? We're talking about, he posted this in the wake of this church invasion, right? His church in Minnesota is invaded by protesters, disrupt the worship service. It's aggressive, it's loud. It's trespassing at the very least. Hopefully charges will be brought against them for violating the constitutional rights of the church and its members. You have a constitutional right to free association, free expression of religion. If somebody comes into your church and disrupts your worship service, they are violating your constitutional rights. They don't have a right to be there on private property. A church is not a public forum. A church is a private entity, private property, where church members and their leadership and things can freely associate and worship as they please. And what you saw, those of you that saw the video of these people invading the worship service, this was a violation of constitutional rights. It was criminality. It was against the law. And for me, when I read Gabe's post in context of this, and he didn't even specifically mention this event, but I think it was pretty clear that that's what he was talking about. I don't think he's denied it. But the things that stuck out to me immediately were basically there are category errors going on here. If there's one thing that I hope that I wind up being known about for my writing at Protestia, particularly when it comes to debates like Christian nationalism and other kinds of things, are an insistence that we firmly establish and apply and understand the differences in jurisdictions, both between the spiritual and the physical, but also the state and the individual, the state and the church, the jurisdiction of the family, that we really get these things right, because so much of the error, so much of the talking past one another I'm convinced would not happen, or would be much harder for it to happen if we approached it from a proper understanding of jurisdiction as the Bible teaches. And so, I had a couple longer responses to this. I had a post on X, basically taking issue with the first category error, which, when he asks if your response to persecution is to arm yourself, that was a category error, because what happened in the church was not persecution. It's important that we understand this and we get this right. Christian persecution is being harmed or attacked or having your rights violated because of your beliefs in a way where you have no legal recourse. In a way where you have no choice but to, and you know, I don't want to miscategorize this, but somebody violating your rights, even if they do so because you are a Christian, if you have legal recourse, if the government is going to step in by the power of the sword and avenge on your behalf, that's not persecution. Persecution is more like when the government says, we've passed laws in a system here that treats you as less than because of your Christian faith. Persecution would be you said something or expressed something in pursuit of your Christian convictions, and then the government acted against you. The society around you acted against you on behalf of that. That's not what we saw in the church. So we had a category error first, and then to finishing it off with, you might be thinking more as an American than as a Christian, or first as an American and second as a Christian, however it was said, which was another blending of jurisdictions, blending of roles in jurisdictional spheres that really the Scripture doesn't allow for. There's not a contradiction between me saying as an American Christian that I am America first, that I love my country above other countries, and then also saying that my first and foremost allegiance is to Jesus Christ. As a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, there's not an automatic conflict there. I suppose there can be, but it's not only appropriate, it's actually called for, it's actually commanded that one love their neighbor as their self. And our neighbor, if you're an American, your neighbor is America, right? I mean, we start outward. Loving your neighbor as yourself is a practical exercise. It's not just disposition or feelings. It's something you actually do. And if it's something you actually do, then it's going to be bound by the physical strictures under which God has placed you. So you're going to have your family, your local community, your church, your city, your state, your nation. These are all spheres of influence, physically limited spheres of influence that you have to factor in. So to say I'm America first, I'm America above other countries can be nothing more than me saying these are the people God has placed in my sphere of influence. I'm not able to love other countries, other nations as much as I'm able to love my own. These are the people God's given me, and so of course I'm America first. There's no conflict there. So we've talked about this before. I'm out of time at this point, but I wanted to say something real quick on a very short Bully Pew podcast about this, and really reinforce even more than the point. I mean, if you want to see kind of what I was saying on it, go over to CO Conservative 7 on X and read posts and replies and things, and you'll kind of get the gist. But mainly, I wanted to weigh in a little bit and let you hear me say that a disagreement with a good brother, despite histories and personalities and friends and all that kind of stuff, I am more and more convinced I'm not willing to play that game. And that doesn't mean that someone who I consider a friend or a comrade in arms, so to speak, online might not respond differently. Maybe they'll say, "Hey, look, you disagreed with me, or you didn't denounce so and so that gave me a hard time, or whatever." Fine. I mean, they can go with that standard if they want to, but I do want to double down on the idea that that's not my standard, and it's not going to be the standard of Protestia, and we are not going to clan up, so to speak, where we say, hey, play 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon discernment, where it's like, hey, so-and-so got on the case of so-and-so had a disagreement, and so-and-so's our friend, so therefore we can't be friends with so-and-so. I'm just not going to do it. Anyway, I hope that this little short Bully Pew has been helpful to you. Stay tuned to Protestia, as always, for your latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. I'll talk to you guys again real soon. As always, Semper Reformanda.